Ever bought a fish finder that looked amazing in the pictures, only to discover it was a disappointment once you actually got it on the water? I've seen that happen far too often. Glossy marketing photos, a wall of buzzwords, and then you're left with a screen that's hard to read, sonar that misses the bite, or a system that simply doesn't mesh with the way you fish. That's why I wanted to break down the Lowrance HDS BR016 in a way that actually helps you decide if this is the unit that will finally give you confidence on the water, instead of another gadget you'll stash away after a few trips. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest thing that sets the HDS BR016 apart from a lot of the entry-level units you see on the shelves is the sheer size of the display. 16 inches of SolarMax HD touchscreen means you're looking at a picture that's bright enough for sunny noon glare, yet crisp enough to read fine chart detail at dusk. In real-world use, that translates to being able to spot a subtle change in water depth while you're cruising a lake at 20 knots, without squinting or constantly adjusting the brightness. For anglers who rely on visual cues, whether you're tracking a school of bass near a structure or following a shallow contour in offshore waters, that kind of screen real estate is a genuine time saver. Now, a screen is only as good as the data it can deliver. The HDS BR016 comes ready for ACTIVETARGET 2 and 2XL live sonar, plus active imaging HD sonar. In plain language, those are the sonar modes that give you a near real-time image of what's happening beneath the hull. I've read a lot of anglers talk about the frustration of blank sonar screens when they're actually over a promising spot. With ACTIVETARGET, you get a 3D view that updates as the boat moves, so you can see fish arches and structure forming right before your eyes. The active imaging HD compatibility adds higher frequency detail, which is especially useful when you're targeting smaller species or fishing in very shallow water where the standard sonar beam might be too broad. One feature that often gets glossed over but makes a practical difference is the FISHREVEAL with SIDESCAN option. In practice, this means the unit can combine traditional down-looking sonar with side-looking imagery, giving you a broader picture of the underwater landscape. If you've ever been on a boat where you could see a promising shoal on one side, but had no clue what was happening to the other, this integration can turn guesswork into a clear map. It's the sort of thing that helps you decide whether to swing the boat over a ridge or keep your line in a deeper trough, and you can do it without having to mount a separate SIDESCAN unit. Charting is another area where the HDS BR016 tries to justify its premium price tag. The unit ships with CMAP Discover onboard charts, which cover a massive portion of U.S. inland waterways and many coastal regions. In real use, that means you can plot a trip from a small reservoir straight out to a saltwater inlet without having to download separate chart files. The onboard nature also ensures you're not dependent on a phone signal or a laptop when you're far offshore. For someone who likes to explore new spots, that kind of confidence can be worth a lot of money. All of those strengths are appealing, but they come with trade-offs you need to weigh. The first thing to notice is that the package does not include a transducer. Lowrance assumes you already own a compatible unit or that you'll purchase one separately. That's a hidden cost that catches a lot of first-time buyers off guard. A good transducer isn't cheap, and you need to match it to the type of fishing you do. A high-frequency unit for shallow, structure-focused fishing versus a lower-frequency, longer-range model for deepwater offshore work. If you were hoping for an all-in-one plug-and-play solution, you'll need to budget extra. Second, the price point reflects the professional-grade hardware, but it also means the learning curve is steeper than a basic fish finder. The touchscreen interface is intuitive, yet the depth of menu options, from sonar mode toggles to chart layering and waypoint management, can feel overwhelming if you've never fiddled with a multifunction chart plotter. In practice, the first few outings may involve more time in the cabin fiddling with settings than actually fishing. That's not a flaw, just a reality for anyone stepping up from a simple 5-inch unit. Battery consumption is another practical concern. A 16-inch high-resolution display paired with active sonar modes draws a noticeable amount of power. If you're on a small boat with a modest battery bank, you'll want to keep an eye on your charge levels or consider a dedicated power source. I've seen anglers who run out of power mid-trip and have to abort because the system shut down. It's not a failure of the product, but a reminder that you need to plan for the electrical demand, especially if you plan long days.